Hi, I'm Meg Stout, author of Reluctant Polygamist, and this is the first part of Chapter 3, Guns, Germs, and Sex. In 1998, Jared Diamond won the Pulitzer Prize for his nonfiction book, Guns, Germs, and Steel: The Fates of Human Societies. Diamond argued that Eurasian civilization survived and conquered due to environmental factors. Diamond's text emphasized the role of real physical conditions and how important it is to consider these realities when interpreting history and constructing hypotheses. Though Joseph Smith lived a mere 200 years ago, the modern student needs to be reminded of the differences between Joseph's time and our own. Weaponry was rudimentary. Medicine was based on barbaric ignorance. Sexual innovations had emerged in the name of religion. However, there were many beliefs that persuaded men and women to be circumspect even within marriage. Hypotheses about what happened in Nauvoo during the 1840s must take these realities into consideration. Guns. On June 27, 1844, Joseph Smith and Hiram Smith died while in custody at Carthage jail, each shot by several balls. Hiram was killed first, shot in the face. But the fatal shot was likely the ball that entered his back from the east and passed through his entire body. The force of that ball was such that it shattered his pocket watch when it exited his flesh. Less than a minute later, Joseph Smith was shot while poised in the second-story window of the jailhouse sitting room. Two balls hit him in the back, shot from the west-facing doorway inside the jailhouse. One ball hit Joseph's shoulder, and another hit him in the chest. The coroner reported that it was the chest wound that had caused Joseph's death. The facts regarding the deaths of the Smith brothers become striking when one understands the limited range and accuracy of guns in 1844. Most guns used by armed forces in 1844 were smoothbore muskets. The musket's smooth bore made the gun easy to load and shoot, but such musket shots were relatively ineffective by modern standards. Rifled guns had been invented by Germans in the late 1400s. The twisting grooves in the barrel of the musket made the ball spin. The spinning gave gyroscopic stability to the ball, eliminated bouncing within the barrel, and prevented veering caused by the Magnus effect. Loading the ball with a patch of natural fabric ensured the ball took the spin. This also meant more energy from the ignited gunpowder was imparted to the ball. A rifle could reliably kill at 100 yards, twice the range of a musket. But accuracy and ability to kill at range came at a price. Rifled muskets took more time to load due to the tight fit of the patched ball. The rifling grooves became fouled with unexploded gunpowder. For these reasons, George Washington argued that rifles were militarily inferior to smoothbore muskets. In 1844, there were many more muskets in circulation than rifles. For example, in the year ending June 1844, the United States dispersed 5,750 muskets and only 680 rifles. Shortly after the shooting, John Taylor calculated the distance from which the shot must have been fired to hit Hiram on the far side of a second-story room. John calculated that someone at ground level, at least 100 yards to the east, must have fired the shot that pierced Hiram's torso. Taylor decided the ball that hit Hiram must have been shot by a member of the Carthage Greys, stationed some distance to the east of the jail. Meanwhile, John C. Elliott claimed to have killed both Smith brothers with a borrowed Niemeyer rifle, reportedly a .49 caliber private weapon, possibly fitted with a hair trigger. John C. Elliott was reportedly an undercover U.S. Marshal at the time and would go on to become a noted slave chaser prior to his death in the Civil War. John C. Elliot was celebrated by his peers as the man who killed the Smith brothers. It is possible the fatal wounds were inflicted from the east by the same gunman. The coroner had found the fatal shot that killed Joseph Smith had pierced his right breast, suggesting he was shot from outside the jail. Hiram was likely killed by the body shot from the east. Thus, both fatal shots came from the east. Given the most accepted sequence of events, the fatal shots may have been consecutive if fired from the same rifle. Small arms trials conducted by the U.S. Army in 1860 demonstrated that only a rifle braced on a rest could consistently hit the center of a target from 100 yards. This use of an unusually accurate weapon, braced for enhanced stability, would eventually give rise to the military specialty of sniper. Appendix B contains charts showing representative targets from the 1860 small arms trials. William Daniels had been watching across the road from Carthage jail. Daniels suggested that a firing squad of 4 men shot at Joseph after he fell from the jailhouse window. It seems unlikely that a firing squad shooting at a man propped against a wall could have inflicted 2 wounds in that man's back. Possibly, the marksman shooting from the east had gathered with others who wanted to claim they had fired the fatal shot. Such a gathering of men could have appeared to a distant observer to be a firing squad. Or perhaps Joseph was not yet dead, and the man who shot Hiram from 100 yards then shot Joseph in the chest at close range. The lethal shot that pierced Hiram's back was almost certainly from a rifle, shot by a person using a rest. Such a shooting conveys chilling premeditation. The report that 4 men gathered around the body combines with later certainty that Elliot inflicted the fatal shot to invoke a scene of men either evaluating the evidence and congratulating the winner or watching at an execution-style shooting. Whatever the actual sequence of events, the gun John C. Elliot used was cherished as the rifle that killed Joe Smith until at least the 1890s. I thought I knew what had happened the day Joseph died, but when I was blogging this, I went back, as had become my habit, and reviewed the available original sources on the internet. We have the contemporary account from John Taylor and other contemporary accounts, including the testimony of William Daniels. When I was a child, the vision that I had of what had happened was that Joseph Smith had been shot, John Taylor had been shot, but that the ball had been caught by his stopwatch, and Hiram was shot. Willard Richards never was actually shot. He got trapped behind the door. John Taylor is my ancestor. As I researched this day and what had happened, I came across, obviously, the indication that there is no way a ball could have hit a man's pocket watch and stopped and then pushed the man back inside the window, which is what John Taylor had said happened. His pocket watch had a dent in it and was stopped at the time of the attack. And that was a thing that we would go see when we'd visit my grandma on Capitol Hill in Salt Lake. Instead, it appears that the dent in the watch was caused by the internal gears when John fell to the windowsill. So, given John's account that he had been shot, he had been shot, he got shot a bunch of times, that he had been shot that caused him to fall and he was sliding outside the window. The question then is, how did he not fall? How did he end up back inside the middle of the room if it wasn't the ball from the rifle or gun, whatever it was? No one else, as far as I've seen, has addressed that question. When you look at the account of those moments, the only non-divine force that could have pulled John Taylor from that windowsill was a person in the room. It's unlikely that those attacking would have pulled a man from sliding out the window. And as we said, Willard Richards was trapped behind the door. Hiram was on the floor, dead or dying. The only person who could have pulled John Taylor from that window was Joseph Smith. See ya.